Well, hello again. YouTube is Petey Two Finger with a quick update. More than likely, pulling the plug on the plans to play a remote this weekend. I had looked at the weather forecast and I had thought, oh well, we could probably go out. It's right at that like temperature in the forecast where if it drops, we'll go. If it gets higher, I'm going to cancel it because I've done this in the past. I have gotten it into my head that we're going, and then the temperature goes up, and then we go, and we're miserable because it's too hot. So I know all too well, and so does Gonti. She's going to be like, you're making the right decision. So I have to get clearance from the tower. The following weekend is the autumnal equinox, which is a big deal, significant. It's a very special day that holds personal significance. So maybe I'll end up playing a remote on the equinox, and that would be cool. So we have to see. I do have more footage right now. I'm uploading I'm like 60 70 75%. I'm sorry, I take my glasses off so they don't reflect, and I think I look, I'm not as I don't call out wrath if I don't have my glasses on. If I have my glasses on, like this face, just people just want to punch this face. And when you add the glasses to it, it's like, oh, people just. So I'm charging up power packs, doing the right thing, getting ready for the remote. This is the one that Gopti's been using for her GT1B, which is for a $100 is what we paid for it. Like if you're a bass player and you're not quite sure, like, do I get a Zoom as far as like budget modelers go, or I wouldn't want to say modeler, multi-effects go. I really like the GT1B, the Boss. It's plastic, but that's a really good, and they didn't skimp on it. The only thing I don't like about it is the software. When you're backing up the patches, and when you save the patches, it's like, please wait. It just keeps flashing for more time than anything I've ever seen in my life. It's like they really make you wait. And if you're going to save a whole, like let's say you have 15 patches and you're going to back that up, you're better off just hitting click and then going off to change your oil and come back, because it's. Then when you go to like save that file to your desktop, it just goes ping, it's there. It's on the desktop. So I think they include the production of that file when you do the group backup of all the patches. It makes that file too, because when you say, oh, I want to save it to the desktop, it goes, it's done immediately. So when you save a whole bank of patches, you're going to want to, if you're doing that on a PC, you're connecting the device to the PC, and you just edited a set of patches, you're going to want to back that up to the computer too. You know what I mean? Like they save it in a librarian that's in the memory of the software. And then you can grab patches from that librarian and put them into the memory slots. And when you save the individual memory slots, it takes a long time. Saving on the GT, the Boss GT series, and it's not because I have a slow computer. It's not. It's something having to do with the you have to install something called Air, Adobe Air, and I'm guessing that's is this also support Bluetooth, and that's why it's so clunky? I don't know. We purchased our unit used. I did not ever get a manual or read about it or learn why it's so mind-bendingly slow. It's a great processor, and I would think that the guitar, the Boss GT1G, would be probably good as far as something in that $100 range. So, and honestly, for a bass multi-effect, I don't want to spend more than that. We had a guy gift us a Zoom B3, and that's the processor. That's the processor that I used to make Bassist Christ, which I just listened to that album. I went through and listened to some of the older February releases that I've done, and that one really stuck out, as well as Tender Moments, like it has like 50 views on it, and I really like it. I like both of those. So this thing here, we got this at, it's got one more LED that it's charging, and that this takes a considerable amount of time of charging this to get that light to stop, that last light to stop blinking. This is what Gonti has been using to power her bass processor, along with one of these. So this is a step-up transformer. It takes 5 volts up to 9. And when you purchase these, they come with a round cord that's about this long, and they're not the proper polarity for, what do I call that, Boss standard positive ground. So when you get this, you can take a hobby knife and finagle that in. There's a seam. This splits in half. It's like a clamshell design. You can split it in half fairly easily and unsolder the 2 output wires. And in this case, I used a much longer cable. You can see this is it's almost 6 feet. Yeah, it's like 5.5. Whew. Guess who's in withdrawal? So this is just a 2.1 mil inner diameter, 5.5 millimeter outer diameter DC plug. It's Boss standard. So having this here plugged in to a I have two of them over there that are just out of reach. So I have this 9 volt positive ground. It's what I call 4 PEDs. 4 PEDs. That means this is 9 volts and the polarity is positive ground. So if something has been modified and it's wired for pedals, I will scratch on it 4 PEDs. And then I'll put a little smiley face on it, like it's okay to plug this into a pedal because it's already been taken apart and had the polarity flipped on it. So yeah, it's a little bit to explain, but these little guys are coming in vogue now at resale stores. These are showing up. People bought these for people for Christmas gifts, and people didn't use them, and then they take them into the resale store. So when you see these things, these little power banks, you can get that plug for $1.99. If you're handy with a soldering iron, you can flip-flop it, and then one of these things can power a pedal board. Like especially if it's got multiple sockets on it. This has 3. You could get 3 of those things and you would have an 1.5 amps of support. And that's enough for a pedal board. Unless it's a bunch of like Strymon and like flagship, a typical person's pedal board that only has one like mega pedal that's going to eat up 300 milliamp or a whole 500 milliamp, and basically that would mean if it's a 500 milliamp power supply that they sell with the thing, it's probably pulling like 400. So you could cover it because these are 500 each. So I hope that makes sense. Like I said, this is really nice to have this 9 volt on tap, that it's just sitting up here. I hang it, I drape it over. There's a lamp, a gooseneck lamp, so I just drape this over that. So whenever I need 9 volts, which you never know, if you're a guitar player and you're building pedals and there's this young woman, she's the harp lady, she calls herself. Now I don't watch her videos. I know that she gets trolled by guitar people. I've left comments there before on a handful of videos, and I can't imagine that all of those comments are positive. I probably left some nasty comments there. She's an example of a female on the internet who gets inordinate amount of views that have nothing to do with her talent. Yes, she's a very talented harpist, but everyone's watching her because she's a busty young woman. I said it. And that's just uh, that's just par for the course. Okay, it is what it is, and she put out a video the other day. I make pedals now. She was holding up a 6-knob pedal, and I clicked on this video, and she makes a 3-knob fuzz. So I'm like, okay. There was a guy in the comments who said, "Oh, I build pedals and amps," and this is something I have said too, which I typically say Class D amps, because the differentiation between someone who plays around and orders a Class D amp board and puts that into a chassis with a fuse, a switching system, and a jack it's not a person who builds tube amps. These are completely different things. The one can kill you, and you have to know what you're doing. The other one, you could literally put the entire thing in your mouth and not concern yourself. So when I see people say I build pedals and amps, I think, let me guess, you built one amp and it was a Noisy Cricket, which is an LM386 based. It's the worst, nastiest sounding. It'll never be clean. Horrific audio artifacts in the release of the note. Like, it doesn't even qualify as a like, if you gave whatever Cafe Robusto chassis, it's a coffee tin. If you gave this amp to a pro, they would go like, thanks, because they know they would throw it away as soon as they got home. You know what I mean? It's so I saw this guy had left this comment, and I'm like, let me guess, Cafe Robusto, and I go to his channel, and there it was. It was an amp made in a coffee tin, and it was a Cafe Robusto. So I wrote, hey, here's a pro tip for you. If you get a 555 timer IC and a handful of resistors and capacitors, you can add Synth Builder to your resume. because people will assemble a circuit which is a single timer chip with a single capacitor and a couple, maybe 3 resistors and a speaker, and they'll either use a potentiometer. Usually they use a cadmium sulfide cell, so it's a wee wee wee. You move your hand over it, and it goes. It's like a real nasty sounding. It's a square wave, so it doesn't produce a smooth pitch when you get into the lower end of the deal, the lower end of the audio spectrum. It just pops, so it's like cock, 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 cock. It's like you just watch your speaker just going like. You're like, oh my goodness. Good thing that speaker is something that I tore out of a Hannah Montana karaoke guitar. So whenever I see guys talking about my synth, I know what it is. It's a 555 timer IC. It's the most basic. You're taking a circuit, you're taking some type of a chip that has a triangle, which there's a plus and then an input and then the output on the other end of the triangle, and you're running that output back into the input. And in that feedback circuit, you put a capacitor, so the capacitor fills up and drains and fills up and drains, and then that's going to produce those pops that are going to come out of the speaker. So it's kind of neat when you understand that this chip was not designed for that. that you're like torturing this little triangle, this little amp in this op amp. You're like, I'm going to take your output and I drink your milkshake, and I'm going to directly connect it to your input and see how you like that. Which it probably would blow up if you didn't put that. I don't think it would. If you had enough voltage going to it, if it was like up at its threshold, like at the peak, and then you just hard shorted the input to the output, maybe it would just blow the top of the chip off. I know that happens sometimes. Usually it's some kind of ProTech or expert that's gotten in there and used the wrong, like they're using an instrument cable instead of a speaker cable. So, yeah, you can learn things here if you pay attention and read through the little jokes that I make here. There is like theory and lessons. There are life lessons to be learned. Don't call yourself an amp builder. If all you have in your resume is LM386 amp projects, you're not really qualified to call yourself an amp builder, okay? If you've built a single amplifier, you don't say you build pedals and amps. You've built pedals and an amp, okay? Last but not least, if anybody's watching this, and I highly doubt it, I wanted to explain something that I say in the there's this video clip. There's a clip that I'm using all the time now. Kita Cat Chicken Bo Beat. Kita Cat Chicken Bo Beat. So that is Suno AI. When I heard about Suno, I went over there and signed up for an account, and I was having Suno make songs about the cat. I would type in lyrics about how Kita, when we got him, all the other cats had extensive backstories. Him was nothing. It was like he came from Addison. He doesn't have any history. So now Addison is a town with a lot of ethnic people living in it, and there's a lot of like pizza places and bars in Addison. So I immediately cooked up the story where Kita was living in an alley under a grease trap at a pizza place. When we got him, his coat was all oiled down. He did not look like the supermodel cat. I don't know what had happened to him. Poor Kita. If somebody cleaned their deep fryer with him, I don't know. Poor Kita. So, poor little guy. He was so oily, and like I picked him. We went there to get a kitten, and he was already full grown. You know, I mean he was a late teen, I would say, but he had a lot of kitten left in him. So he was being a demon and acting like a kitten does, like climbing on top of everything at 3 a.m. And like they lied to us. They were like, "Oh, he's a year and a half old," and they said he was 3. He's 3. No, he was maybe a year and a half old when we got him. So, I would write these lyrics about his backstory, how the pizza chefs would throw him some cheese, balls of cheese, or grease, feed them with grease, or feed them with anchovy fish. It was different in every song. And there was a bunch of these songs on my Suno account, and they're hilarious. Like, if you listen to this stuff, it's really funny. So one of them that I did was Kita Kat Chicken Bo Beat, Kommen Sie Heat. Now, the Chicken Bo Beat thing, that comes if you play the name game with his name, okay? And Kommen Sie Heat. This is my dad went to Germany with his job, and when he came back, he had to learn German, or he wanted to, so he learned. Like, my dad could speak Swedish and English. His Swedish wasn't great, but he could speak it. So, and he had been there. He had been there when he met my mom, and he went back for Volvo, because my dad was a big wig for Volvo, and then he quit that job and he got the same job for BMW, and they wanted him to move to New York and be the regional manager, or actually the national parts manager. My dad would have been manager of the entire United States, the parts departments in the dealerships. He would have been the national parts manager. He was regional manager, so he had a third of the United States was his responsibility for BMW, the parts departments in the dealerships. And he had that same job for Volvo. He was regional parts manager. So it was a good job. And they loved him. People at my dad's work, they loved my dad. So he was like a Jekyll and Hyde. He was able to when he came home, he had a demonic temper and he was violent. But when he was at work, he was people, and so these people would come to us and they would be like, "Oh, your dad is," like, and we would see him like holding court with these people and making them laugh, and how he was really generous and a charismatic person. But then when he came home, forgot about it. So, like I said, he had to go over there and he taught himself some German. So when he came back, he started saying "Kommen Sie Heat" all the time. And he would say it to... I had a little brother who was born like 8 years after I... Like, me and my older brother are 4 years apart. And my mom looked at us like we were a unit, like we were the same... We were just bad. And I'm not bad. My older brother, yeah, he is bad. So, my younger brother was good. And they raised him differently. Like, he got everything he wanted, including all the food. I was not allowed to eat anything. Like, he had his own Doritos and his Pringles and his Coke, and I wasn't allowed to touch it. That's just how it was in my family. So I have a lot of psychological hang-ups, so when I talk about this stuff, it's not healthy for me to talk about it. But my dad used to... this explains why I don't have any self-esteem, is because of the abuse that I went through. And it was... I don't say that lightly. I was abused. It was from more than one person. It was a horrific thing that I went through, and I can't minimize that, but I also don't carry a flag, because more people than not went through that same stuff. Everybody has a similar story. So it's not like get in line, You were abused when you were a little kid. It went on for 6 years, and you never were able to get out from underneath that. Well, you need to, because you can't let something that happened that long ago ruin the rest of your time here. You got to try to get over it, you know. But my dad, he started saying this "kommen Sie heat" all the time. Usually, if we were in a restaurant and the waitress was good looking, he would all of a sudden start speaking his brand of fake Swedish or German or a mixture of both. And I think he thought that maybe one day there would be one of these waitresses that was German. They would go, "Oh, you're German," and strike up a conversation with him. You know, that was what he was hoping for. So yeah, he was saying this "kommen Sie heat," and I never forgot it because it was like, well, what's he saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So we were watching something. It may have been, there was this Swedish thing. I don't know. It was something where somebody said it. They said "kommen Sie" something, and I was like, "That my dad used to say that." So chicken bobit, "kommen Sie heat." I started saying that because Kita kind of avoids me. He loves the mama. He's not so sure about me. He'll stay like just out of arm's length of me and stare at me, and he does this every night. He's like sitting right over here staring at me for attention, and I'm like, can't. If you just come and sit, I'll pet you all night. I love him. This is what I did with the last cat we had, Gusti. He loved me, but he wasn't scared of me. So he would come and sit on my lap, and like we bonded. I never like hit him or yelled at him. He's a cat. I know how cats are. They got enough problems of their own with their own weird kitty psychosis than to have an adult being, a human being, mean to them. Like, I would never be mean to a cat. You know, like maybe you can get away with it with a dog. You'd be like, "Get out of here," kick them when they're doing something bad, and they would like, but then they would come back. You can't do that with a cat. You do that one time, and they're never gonna come by you again. So when cats, if they get messed with when they're kittens, they never get over it. They never get over it. So there's a lot of kittens out there that don't trust men, because it's never, well, I suppose there are women out there who are abusive, but for the most part, you'll run into this with, if you get a secondhand cat, you got to make sure. And like I said, when he baited and switched me, because when they let him out of the cage, he slinked down on the floor and just showed me his belly. He was like, "Here I am, pet me." And he looked right in my eye. He looked at me. He didn't look at my wife. He looked at me. So I was like, "Oh, here he is. He's not damaged merchandise. We're going to take this one home." And he was a goober greaseball. He was just completely oiled. My wife was like, "Really? This cat?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is the one. Trust me." And she was like, "I don't know." And then like he completely fell in love with her. So that's the explanation for Kita Cat, chicken bobit, "kommen Sie heat." I think I've explained this on this channel before. Today I uploaded. I did an edit on a song called "Frogged Again," and I just hit the upload, the save button on that. I like to wait until it's uploaded and then see if I can do something with the thumbnail rather than an image of one of us or both of us playing at that same location. If it's the thumbnail is, it's important, I think. So I hope that was a good enough explanation. As I said, more than likely we are not going to be playing remote this weekend, but there is going to be more uploads. So if you enjoy the performances, the remote music stuff that we do, there should be some of that stuff coming up here. And I just uploaded Mezzoforte, which is kind of new. So definitely check that out. Whenever there's remote stuff, like I always try to express how I feel about it. Like that's really the point of this channel. The rest of it, me sitting here, as not, doesn't have as much value. Maybe for some of you, it's just exactly the opposite. So either way, feel free. You're welcome to enjoy the channel, and I appreciate your time. So thank you. But there is that one stipulation. I ask you to be kind to animals, or how I like to say it, hug your pets. We lost Gusti. We didn't have him for very long, and that's the saddest thing that ever happened in my life, was losing that friend of mine. He was such a loving little guy, and the way that he looked at me, I'll never forget that. And I wish I had that relationship with Kita. Unfortunately, it's not up to me. So I'll continue, being as kind as I possibly can, and understanding to Kita that he's got this thing where he's scared of dudes. But he thinks it was me. Whoever was mean to him when he was a kitten, he thinks it was me. So I have to understand that. And it sucks. It sucks because I wasn't mean to him. Anyway, hug your pets is what I always like to say. And peace.